James Green are our men in the know this evening. Darmish, let's get right into it. Marcus Rashford, how close to going to Milan is he?
Well, first of all, we should say all roads appear to be leading towards an exit for Marcus Rashford out of Old Trafford. AC Milan, they've been linked with him throughout this transfer window. We expect them to formally approach Manchester United about signing Marcus Rashford. You'll have heard from the Milan senior advisor, a certain Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who used to be teammates, of course, with Marcus Rashford. He's already said publicly that he would love to speak to Marcus Rashford. Borussia Dortmund are another club who have shown an interest in Marcus Rashford in this transfer window as well. But because of his wages, it's thought that that could be too problematic for the German Bundesliga club to do. Having said that, they've got a really positive relationship with Borussia Dortmund of Manchester United, because if you remember last season, they managed to loan out Jadon Sancho from United to Dortmund, and that seemed to be a move that worked for United, that worked for Dortmund, and worked for Jadon Sancho as well. In fact, one source has told me that United actually recovered all of the wages that they would have had to have paid Jadon Sancho in that loan deal from Borussia Dortmund. I'll be able to explain a little bit more on how that works when we go into more detail about how certain clubs do deals in the 7 o'clock transfer show. But Rashford's camp, as far as they're concerned, they've spoken to a number of clubs in Italy and in Spain about a move away from Old Trafford following that interview, now infamous interview that Rashford did with Henry Winter to say, maybe it's time for a new challenge, the next steps in my career. As far as United are concerned, as it stands, we think their preference remains on Rashford going on a straight loan. And I've explained this one to you before, to try and raise that market value ahead of a summer permanent departure, if that indeed is what Manchester United would want to do. If you go to yesterday, Manchester United went to Arsenal in the FA Cup third round, penalty shootout win. No sign of Marcus Rashford at all in the matchday squad. And when Ruben Amorim held his news conference after the game, he was asked the question, has Marcus Rashford played his last game for Manchester United? And his words were, I don't know, we will see. Now, United have an acceptance they'll have to pay a portion of the wages that Rashford is on to any club if he's to go on loan. But I think they want to do a structured deal whereby they incentivise that loan move. They incentivise the wages so that it is good, not only for the club that get him, but good for United too.
Okay, Antony, is he off?
So we told you last week that there had been inquiries to Manchester United from clubs in Spain and in Greece. I can now tell you that Real Betis and Olympiacos have both made inquiries to Manchester United over Antony. Go back to yesterday, he was in the squad and he seems to feature in most of Ruben Amorim's squads, but he hasn't started a Premier League game all season, let alone under Ruben Amorim. He didn't start under Erik ten Hag this season either, but he was an unused substitute against Arsenal at the Emirates yesterday. United clearly will consider offers for Antony. The most likely deal I think they'd want to do is a loan, like I was mentioning before, with the likes of Sancho last season and Rashford this time around. They want to maintain some sort of market value. They're clearly not going to get anywhere near the £80 million plus that they paid in the summer of 2022. But if they were to try and sell him in this transfer window, off the back of not starting a Premier League game, what's his market value going to be? If he can go away, play well, score goals, play regularly, come the summer, the market value is going to be a lot higher than it is just now.
Or do they do the Arsenal thing and just go, nah, you're off, get rid, like Aubameyang, get rid, take the hit, but have a better culture in the club?
Well, I mean, he's been picked in the squad. So with regard to the culture in the squad, I don't think that's been pointed towards Antony under Ruben Amorim. It's just the fact that it just hasn't worked out for him.
They don't want him, do they?
Yeah, and Real Betis as well, you know why they're in the market for a winger, because they've just sold Hassan Diao to Como. So Man United will know that as well, that they're going to try and do as good a deal as they can if it is indeed to be Betis.
Randall Kolo Muani been linked with Manchester United. What's the story with him?
Yeah, look, this is a player that's been mentioned throughout January so far. And actually, it's interesting on Antony because there's a player signed for a lot of money, hasn't necessarily worked out at his club. Same for Muani at PSG, signed for a deal worth around €90 million only a year and a half ago, and it hasn't necessarily worked. Struggled for game time under Luis Enrique. Now, we understand that Juventus, the latest club to show what's been described to me as maximum effort to sign the player on loan this season. Now, they're attempting to try and get get ahead of their competition, the likes of Manchester United, the likes of AC Milan, who we were talking about earlier, and Tottenham too. This is a player that's been absent from the matchday squad for PSG the last 3 games. It looks like his future is away from the club, whether this window or whether the summer. PSG are accepting that he's going to be departing the club at some point. But on Tottenham, they still remain interested in the player. A forward is a priority in the window for that club.
Just on PSG, their stance on Muani is they prefer a permanent deal, or at the very least a loan with an obligation. Now, if we talked about Manchester United making inquiries, rather like when they want to sell a player, it will be like, let's try and do a loan and then reassess in the summer. If there's a loan with an obligation with Muani and it doesn't work out, then United or any other club who go in for that deal are like, well, we're stuck with it. We have to actually buy him. So maybe they were thinking about a loan, and maybe that's why those initial inquiries at the moment from United haven't been followed up.
OK, all right, let's take a break.